Hello and welcome back to the Natural Wellness Tips podcast. This is your host, Dr. Jennifer Shaw. I am super excited to be here with you today, and I have yet another incredible guest. Today, we are going to be talking to Vincent James. Vincent and his wife, Joanne, are on a mission to help more children and adults reap the educational, therapeutic, and social benefits of playing music. To aid this mission, they founded the national nonprofit Keep Music Alive and two international music holidays, Teach Music Week in March and Kids Music Day in October. They partner with over 1,000 plus music schools and stores every year to offer free lessons to new students and to hold special events that benefit kids playing music. They partner with over a dozen celebrities, and they are also co-author of an incredible book. So why am I having somebody who helps children play music on the podcast? Well, let me tell you, because Vincent and I had an incredible conversation about the health benefits of music. And I'm a big music fan. I have a vintage record player in my living room with vinyls. I love music. But we're going to really talk about the power of music to help reduce stress and increase our overall health and wellness. So welcome to the podcast, Vincent.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Yeah. So I gave a quick little overview of your story, but I'd love for you to share a little bit about what got you to this point where you're so driven to make this impact on making music so readily available for kids and in turn adults.
Well, it's funny, Jennifer, I bounced around for decades doing various things in the music world, from being a songwriter to being the artist to booking shows to managing bands and a couple other things that I can't even remember at this point. But at one point I listened to a podcast, or I'm sorry, it was a teleseminar about how everybody has a book inside them that they need to write. And honestly, I never thought I would write a book. I didn't consider myself an expert on anything at this point, but I was drawn to listen to it. You ever have that happen to you where you're drawn to something, you don't really know why?
Like, I know I need to, and I have zero clue.
Right. Where is this going to go? But when I'm on that recording and I'm listening to the training, I got this idea, a bolt of lightning from above. What about a book of inspirational music stories of how music changed people's lives? Well, first of all, I wouldn't have to write anything. Gather all these inspirational stories from musicians and non-musicians from around the world, and then we would edit the book and put it out. And that's kind of what started the whole ball rolling. It's about 6 years ago now. I got all excited when I got the idea. I got goosebumps. I ran up to tell my wife, talked her into joining me on this crazy journey. And then from there, the nonprofit started, and then Teach Music Week, and then Kids Music Day, and then just grew, year after year.
Mm.
And, I'm just on fire, excited about the cause, the why we're doing this. And that's what keeps us going.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It's just following the omens. If you've ever read the oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the name. It'll come to me, but I have two of the books on my bookshelf. But yeah, they talk about following the omen. Sometimes we're just guided to make certain decisions, to do certain things in our lives, and you just followed that. And now you've impacted so many lives that way. So when we talk about music, sure, it's great. We all have it playing in our cars and things like that. But really, truly, how does music affect the body? Like listening to it, playing it, what are some of the benefits that we get from integrating music in our lives?
I think one thing is that, I know myself up until several years ago, totally unappreciated the value of just listening to music. We take it for granted in our car, on the TV, on our, Spotify, everywhere. It's just, we just take it for granted because it's always there. But, what if we used music intentionally, listen to things intentionally to feed our bodies? I mean, the food that we put in our bodies has a great effect on our health. And the same thing, what we put into our ears, the news we listen to or we don't listen to, the people, conversations we have with people, and the music we listen to, that audio energy that's coming into our ears has an effect on our brains. And the research and has shown, even in hospital settings, listening to music has shown to reduce patients' blood pressure and heart rate. They heal faster with less pain medication. And we don't need to be in the hospital to be able to gain from some of those benefits. If we intentionally pick music that we listen to at certain times of our day and our week and our life to kind of program our brain or what we want to feel at any given time, it can be a very valuable resource.
We talk a lot about on this podcast about what you consume is not just like physically what you eat, kind of what you share. It's like what you listen to, what you see, who you surround yourself with. And I'm very intentional about, I don't watch TV. I listen to podcasts or neuro tools or affirmations or uplifting music or music that has a memory to me. And one of the things that just kind of clicked for me when you just shared that is my boyfriend almost every morning plays A Brand New Day by Pepper. And it's like I swear it's like his pump up. He's like, yeah, here we go. I got this day. And it's so
Yes.
fun. It's like he plays that one song and then he can go and listen to whatever else he wants. But it's like when we have those things, when we have those songs, like you can have certain songs before you make work calls. You can have certain songs when you're not feeling motivated to work out. That's so powerful. So, so, so powerful. Okay. So when we break it down between adults and children, this was fascinating the last time we chatted, and I was just blown away by what you shared. So let's start with children. What are some of the benefits that kids get from integrating music through playing music, listening to music into their lives?
Well, when the kids are exposed or have music and arts education, in their developmental years, one thing I was fascinated to learn was that the little pipe that goes between the left logical and the right creative sides of our brains, it gets bigger. I mean, they've done tests, with control subjects, where that corpus callosum connecting the two sides will grow in the group of kids that has music and arts education. And what that's allowing is, extra neural connections going back and forth for the rest of their lives, and which is why they can more creatively think outside the box. This is where you get your scientists, your doctors, your entrepreneurs, and people that just have, they make these connections in life, and in their careers, and that other folks may not make. And it's really the music that's helped them. And then there's the research that shows that the kids that have music education, they do better in their science, math, reading comprehension. They stay in school longer because they're excited to have music and arts. They'll stay and, I'm going to sit, I'm going to hang in there for the math class that I really hate, because seventh period is I got my music class and I'm really psyched about that. And it's not just the enjoyment of playing music, it's being surrounded by your classmates and your friends and doing something you enjoy, instead of just like, this calculus problem is really killing me.
Yeah, really. Right. It's so fascinating how that really does make a change in the plasticity of the brain and how the brain develops.
Yes.
I just finished reading this book, Peak, and it's about deliberate practice. And they talk a ton in that book about music and how playing an instrument, not only as a child, but as an adult, you can see changes in the brain. You do see more if you play music as a child and if you do it deliberately. So if you just literally sit down for 3 hours and play and you have no intention of getting better, you don't see as much change and development in the brain as you do as if you have a teacher or a mentor who's saying, let's improve here, let's go back and fix this, let's grow here. And if you're very intentional and deliberate with your practice, you see even more drastic changes in the brain. And I was just blown away by that. I think that anyone as a parent should be really aware of this information and definitely make sure their kids have access to explore these things.
Yes, yes. And it's funny, mention the book, because I'm reading another book that's similar vein, called Inner Size by John
Mhm.
Assaraf. And he talks about how, we need to do, break out of our comfort zone and do different things as adults. Don't play the same piano song you've been playing your whole life. Learn different things, because that's how you're going to create the new connections within your brain that are going to help you, in so many ways, be more active mentally as we age, which is, obviously very important.
Absolutely. So that leads us into this topic of adults. Like, what are some of the benefits that adults get from playing music? I mean, even if, because one of the things I always say, well, I'm not musically inclined. Okay, well, that's garbage. Like, that's my choice. I can learn, right? I'll call myself on that BS right here now. I'm not prioritizing it, right? So,
Right.
what are some of the benefits that adults get from listening with intention to good music, to playing music? What are some of the benefits?
Well, listening with intention, I like to encourage people to create, what I call 3 different playlists. There's the pump it up playlist, which is what your boyfriend's using in the morning to get them started with the Pepper song. Just for me, it's, a couple different Journey songs, or it's the introduction to the Genesis song, Behind the Lines. There's 2 minutes where that song starts off. It's like, oh my God, I am ready for the day. I'm ready for anything. And then there's, we need a playlist for, I call it the chill out, our relaxing playlist. We just need to calm down after a rough day at work, or you maybe had some, problem with the kids during, the evening when you got home, whatever it was. You just need to kind of relax. And for me, that's instrumental new age music kind of, chills me out. And then sometimes we need a playlist to kind of just, I call it cry it out. We're feeling sad. And the only way, one of the important ways to help us get that out, to release that feeling, is to, listen to something that resonates with us, how we're feeling at that time. And then, you can start to let it go, which is important because we can't get past it until we can start to let it go.
Mm.
There was a song back in the 70s I really resonated with and still love for that, Alone Again Naturally by Gilbert O'Sullivan. If you
Mm.
listen to that, it's just very, I don't know, sentimental. It just really kind of pulls at your heartstrings. And then for playing music, oh my goodness, the best thing about music is when you're playing an instrument, Jennifer, you are in the here and now. You're not thinking about yesterday. You're not thinking about tomorrow. You're not thinking about the guy who cut you off on the road on the way home, about, the kids, giving you a hard time or whatever it happened to be. You are having to focus on the here and now. And that just totally, relaxes us. Now, sure, if you're trying something that's really difficult and you're getting a little frustrated with it, you kind of balance it, don't push yourself too hard, but you do want to push yourself a little bit, but just you're staying in the here and now. And just, that's so powerful to be grounded in something, whether it's painting, doing something where your mind is outside of the past and the future.
Yes. And it can be so challenging to come into that present moment, right? Especially when you have a to-do list and people that need you and, obligations, and you're just like, and then you just kind of want to run from the here and now. So it's amazing to be able to carve out that time, even if it's 15, 20 minutes of just like being intentional with that and playing and enjoying, right? And yeah, I love it. So somebody like me who's sitting here and is like, oh, I tried the violin, I tried the piano, I tried the guitar. Mind you, I had other priorities and other focuses, so I wasn't really being consistent with it, right? Like I'm learning Spanish right now. So every day for 15 minutes, I learn Spanish. I'm super consistent and it's clicking. I'm
That's
sure music
great.
would be the same way. But what advice would you give to somebody like me that's like a little resistant, a little scared of starting an instrument? Where do we start? Like, what's a good place to start?
Well, I would visit, a music store and try different things, have them show you different instruments, whether it's the violin. Obviously, you starting off with that instrument, it's one of the most difficult to begin to play because for the first, I don't know, several weeks to several months to a few years, it sounds horrible.
Horrible. My family loves
Horrible.
it.
It's very, it takes a while before you start to produce a sound that's, semi-pleasing to the ear.
Mhm.
But if you're really determined that that's the instrument you want to play, then, you stick with it. But, the piano, the guitar is kind of the next step down, not as difficult. And you can start with the piano. It's funny with our daughter. For the years, I tried to get her to sit with me on the piano bench to learn, to play, to teach her. And she just wouldn't, more than a couple minutes. But when she realized she could put her iPhone up on the piano bench, uh, and pull up chords to her favorite songs and start playing them and singing along, she was hooked. And that is her therapy. Now it's like that. What's this chord? What's that chord? And then, she's off and running and enjoying playing the piano as an adult now. As therapy, when she's having a rough day, a rough time, or even if she's feeling happy, she might just sit at the piano and just play for 10, 15 minutes. And the
Yeah.
instrument that I love to introduce people to is the ukulele. It's like a guitar, but just four strings, and it's small, it's easy to play, it doesn't hurt, you don't have the problem of trying to build up the calluses on your fingers with the guitar.
Mhm.
And within literally 10, 15 minutes, you could be playing, three, four chords and singing along to some of your favorite songs.
That is such good advice. And they're so easily accessible as well. Well, I mean, I live in San Diego, so ukuleles are definitely easily accessible here, but you can get them
Yep.
online and at music stores for rather inexpensive as well. So you don't need like an amp or all of this stuff to go with it. You can just get the ukulele and you can play. And oh my God, I just moved into a new home and we have this gorgeous backyard. I'm like, I can see myself sitting back there learning the ukulele. I'm gonna do it.
Serenading the birds in nature.
They'll probably run away in the beginning, but they'll come back. They'll
No,
come
no, no.
back. They'll come back for sure. No, it's such a good thing to think about. Like when I mentioned where I kind of started, you're like, yep, tier 1 is the hardest. We were there. And then you went to tier 2. And now I'm saying, come down. We'll start at tier 3 and we'll get a little more comfortable.
And then you may go back to the guitar and the piano, because there's
Yeah.
some people were literally drawn to the sound of the piano. And, also nowadays, with YouTube videos, so many online free tutorials where you can learn to play literally any instrument under the sun. They'll slow it down. You see the fingerings and just like, I don't know. In my day, it was like you picked up the needle and the record, you pulled it back, and then just like, all right, what am I doing?
Oh yeah, I know. I honestly, there's something about listening to music on vinyl that makes my heart so happy. It's funny you mentioned your pump up playlist Journey. I'm like, oh, I haven't listened to my Journey record in a long time. I'll go listen to that after this. What's going on? Pump me up.
It's Yeah, I mean, digital is nice, but it's never going to have the warm analog sound that you get from the record. And it's kind of sad because you're going to have generations that grow up now that will never, take the time to listen to what the vinyl sounded like, and they'll never appreciate it. But we'll remember, and it'll be
Yeah,
saved for the archives, and people will go back and maybe, there is a resurgence in vinyl now for that
yeah,
very reason. A lot of younger people are becoming more attracted to getting the record players and getting vinyl, which is great to see.
yeah.
I'm hoping it continues.
Yes, absolutely. I'm seeing more and more record stores and more accessibility in buying them and things. So I inherited some family ones. So it's kind of been like I had a jump start. So it was nice for sure. So yeah, we talked a little bit about kind of kids and adults and the benefits there of music and how it can just bring us into the present, ground us in things. But we're also seeing this huge shift in public education. Well, let me say this first. My children, my boyfriend and I have already discussed this, and if we are blessed to bring children into this world, they'll be homeschooled and music will be part of their lives.
Beautiful.
Absolutely. But in public education, which is where over 50% of children are right now, we're seeing this pull back from play and from music. So two of the most important things for children to grow, to evolve, for their brains to develop, for their social interactions to develop, for their sense of community to develop, we're seeing this pullback, and I get like chills when I talk about it, where they're losing this in their schools. And I know this is something so passionate for you. Do you want to talk a little bit about the nonprofit and why you are doing this?
Oh, absolutely. That is certainly one of the major reasons why we decided to go down this path and felt pulled to this, out of necessity, because it is a tragedy. It's been a trend over many years. Public schools are pulling back on their music and arts program, and it's a financial decision for the most part. But they're losing, they're cutting off their nose to spite their face when they do that. But there is a resurgence. There are many nonprofits and national organizations, from NAFME, the National Association for Music Education, and NAM, the National Association for Music Merchants. They've been pushing back very heavily, strategically, Washington and to the state legislatures, and getting more music funding put back in, which is great. Now instead of just having STEAM, science, technology, engineering, math, we have STEAM. I'm sorry, I might have said it backwards. We went from STEM to STEAM because we put the arts in the middle there,
Yeah.
which is great. So that's having definitely an effect. And we're doing, what we can just to promote the value of music, both through Teach Music Week and Kids Music Day, and just overall advocating to the general public, through the media, through channels such as yourself and Natural Wellness Tips, to help people be more aware of just how valuable music and music education is, so that, whenever they have a choice to be made, to reconsider, you know, maybe I should put Johnny or Mary into that music class. Maybe I should get him that ukulele, that guitar, and he can start taking lessons, maybe online, YouTube, and then move to a teacher at some point, because of the value. I like to tell people we are not trying to turn every child into a professional musician. What
Mhm.
we're trying to do is to give them the best chance of success, no matter what career path they choose later in life.
Mhm. Yeah, there's so much that comes out of learning music. It's the discipline, right? It's the persistence, the
Mm-hmm.
courage to not be good, right? That it enhances that growth mindset over that fixed mindset. You're never going to pick up, and even when you read Peak, they talk about this, like prodigies and stuff. Prodigies, children, prodigies of music were just introduced to music at a very young age from their parents, and it was
Yes.
ingrained in them. They're not prodigies. There's nothing special about them. It's their environment and what they were taught, right? So we can teach our children so much of those skills that will help them, like you mentioned, be successful in business and entrepreneurship, in, I mean, honestly, in relationships, right? All of those skill sets are important in relationships. So this is such powerful information that can be carried over in so many directions. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, we have the Kids Music Day coming up in October, so that's coming up soon, and they're like really interested in this, how do they find out more about getting involved in Kids Music Day, in maybe finding a music store by them, or if there's not a music store by them, getting their local music store involved?
So what'll happen is when we get into September, you'll be able to go to the Kids Music Day website, which is simply kidsmusicday.org, and you'll pump in your zip code, or if you're listening in Canada, pump in your postal code, and up will pop up all the locations around you that are participating. It could be a instrument petting zoo that they're putting on, where kids can come in and try different instruments with a volunteer teaching artist. Could be a student performance, either in-house or out in the community, so you can take your kids to see, here's other kids that are playing in their student rock band, and you can get really pumped up. And here's those kids, those 15-year-olds playing that Journey song. I can't believe it sounds that good. Uh, Instrument donation drives, kids open mics, where kids can get up on stage and express themselves with any type of creativity. And then even if you're listening internationally, we'll have a listing of countries that are participating in the different locations. And then if you even know of a location that's near you and they're not participating, we encourage them to either reach out to us and we'll connect with them, or go visit them yourself and say, hey, you guys should, be checking out this Kids Music Day thing. It might be a good thing to be involved in.
So cool. Yeah. We'll make sure to have that Kids Music Day link down below so you guys can check it out. You just made me think of something. We just were watching an 80s band, an 80s cover band, and the band was amazing. But halfway through their set, I think it was one of their sons came on and started playing the drums. Now this kid was maybe 8, and he played the drums and sang for certain songs, and it was unbelievable to just see. And he got off stage and he's all cute and shy and everything, but when he's on stage and he's drumming and he's in his zone and he's singing, he's like, oh, it was so cool. It was cool to see the adults play and be amazing, but it was even more inspiring to see the kid play and just get up there in front of people and gain that confidence. At 8 years old, I was blown
It is
away.
amazing. And I have to tell you, we've been to, some of the School of Rock, which is one of the, music schools that have kids, start rock bands, and they're 10, 11, 12, 13. And you go and I get the show and they're playing songs that myself as kids with my friends, we never would have even attempted these songs because they were that complicated, because we were in our basements trying to figure out, but they have the advantage of having, instructors now, some of them, professional musicians, many of them professional musicians that have been on tour, showing them the ropes of how to not only play their instrument well, how to stand on stage, how to move around. And I get chills and that brings me to tears when I hear some of the songs, they'll be doing a song by heart or Led Zeppelin. I'm like, we never would have attempted these songs.
And they're just
It
crushing.
lights me up.
So School of Rock, that's Jack Black's nonprofit, right?
So School of Rock is the music school franchise that was actually started here in the Philadelphia area where I'm from, and then eventually started franchising out. But there was a movie unrelated to the franchise called School of Rock that Jack Black starred in, along with I can't remember her real name, but iCarly also played a part.
Because he's part of he's a backer for your nonprofit, right?
Yeah, so Jack is one of our celebrity Kids Music Day ambassadors, which help, we're allowed to use his name and his image to help promote Kids Music Day. And last year, he actually did a video testimonial for Kids Music Day that was off the chart funny.
Oh my God, everything he does is funny.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I love it. And it's so interconnected. It's such a community, and there's so much out there that people can reach out to for support if they know where to look. And that was why I was drawn. When I first was connected. I was like, I don't know if this is the right fit for the podcast, but I'm like, yes, music is such a huge part of our health and our wellness. And I learned even more in this conversation. So thank you so much, Vincent, for joining us and just sharing this knowledge so that we can do better as adults and that we can do better for our children and the children in our lives.
Oh, you're welcome, Jennifer, and thank you. This has been great.
Well, it's my pleasure. Okay, well, I got to ask you rapid fire questions. So you ready to dive in?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
Let it rip.
What is your number one health and wellness tip for the listeners?
My number one tip for your listeners, Jennifer, is to don't take music for granted. Choose the music you listen to intentionally and let it brighten your day, no matter what's going on. Use it, to help you guide you through your day, your week, and your life, to help you happier.
Intentional. That is the word I'm taking from that. Don't just let music be background noise. Listen to it, sit with it, enjoy it, be intentional about what you pick to listen to. If you take nothing else from this podcast, that is such a valuable concept when we think about music. So thank you. Okay, I love asking this question because oftentimes when people listen to us on these platforms, they think we're perfect and we're far from it. What's a healthy habit you struggle with?
I struggle with trying to meditate every day. Because I know how valuable and important it is, in carving out the time. And then when I do carve out the time, to not let those other thoughts, it's like when I'm playing music, I can be more in the moment. But meditating, it's more of a challenge. It's something that I'm working on. And I think it's just going to be a matter of being consistent with it and being intentional and, carving out that time in a peaceful place. And I know it'll get better.
Yeah, absolutely. I do it right when I get up. It's before I even get out of bed. And if it doesn't happen, then if I meditate in the morning before I get up, I often meditate again throughout the day. But if I don't meditate in the morning, it very rarely sneaks in again in the day. It's so interesting.
Really? I'm going to try that.
Yeah, honestly, right before I even get out of bed, I stay in bed and I just get in some deep breathing and do a body scan, get right into my meditation. And it just starts my day on such a clean plate.
And you're sitting up, I assume, so you don't fall back asleep, I hope.
I actually stay laying down.
Oh my goodness.
But I don't fall back asleep.
That's powerful.
Maybe like once every 2 weeks, I fall back asleep for a little bit.
Okay. I'm going to try it. I'll try it first laying down, and then I might move to standing up.
Yeah, there you go.
Or sitting up.
Gotta let me know how it goes. Okay, so what are you most excited about in life right now?
Honestly, I'm excited about continuing to grow our mission and impacting more people each and every year. I mean, we're on a grassroots path. We haven't had any real huge major support in terms of, with celebrities, very grateful, but financially, it's basically building up on our own with some, contributions coming in. But I'm looking forward to eventually impacting millions of lives every year with what we're doing.
I love it. Yep. And every overnight success has, 10, 15, 20 years of grassroots behind it. So keep it going. And yeah, with, the Kids Music Day coming up and amazing opportunities like this for more people to get to experience your work. Hopefully it just goes every year more and more. Okay, here's my selfish question because I'm a bookworm. What is your all-time favorite book?
I have to say my all-time favorite book would have to be The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. The first time I read it, and like, this is really good. And then I put it down and then I got on with the rest of my life. But I planted a lot of seeds by reading it the first time. And then when I happened upon this mission, when I listened to that teleseminar, everyone has a book inside them they need to write. I was drawn back, I need to go back and read this book again and start actually seeing how many of these things I'm actually doing and which I'm not, and how many I'm not doing, and start to improve on what I'm doing. And what you find out is, when I've been having some success on various things I've been doing throughout my life, it's because I was doing many of the principles. And when I stopped doing some of them, that's when we started to peter out. So, I mean, they say success leaves clues. So study people that have been successful in whatever you're trying to do and follow it.
Yes. Yeah. And don't say I can do it better. Just do what they did.
Yes.
It works. Put your flair on it. But okay, yes. So we already know kidsmusicday.com. Super important website. Go there, find out where you can get involved in this day in October. But where else can people find you?
So all of our websites are actually .org. So it'd be kidsmusicday.org. And then the overall website is keepmusicalive.org. And if you're interested in reading some of the inspirational stories of how music impacted people's lives, you could just type in 88 ways music can change your life into the Google. It'll come up, or just simply 88 ways music, like the 88 keys on the piano.
There you
and
go.
it'll come up and you can, check it out.
I love it. Perfect. Okay, and we'll have all those links down below so you guys can check them out. Make sure you head over to Instagram, Keep Music Alive org as well, and you can check out Vincent and all they have going on over there. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. I truly appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome, Jennifer. Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, for me, this is an invigorating conversation, and I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really, really impactful for sure. So thank you all for tuning in and listening. I hope that you guys go out and find an event for Kids Music Day around you that you can get involved in. Share this amazing organization, share this message, share this episode. Let people understand the importance of music. And until next time, guys, we'll see you on the podcast later. Namaste.